You found the WMIX Saturday Sports Show on AM 940 and WMIXSports.com. Cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. The Saturday Sports Show has been recognized by the Illinois Broadcasters Association as one of the top radio programs in the state. That means the very best mix of local sports content is right here. From the powerhouse on Broadway, the Saturday Sports Show starts now.
Good morning, time for another Saturday Sports Show. Hard to believe it already, but it is Saturday morning here in the King City and all across the land, I suppose. Saturday Sports Show on WMIX 940 and WMIXSports.com, as always, is powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
That's Danny Zerwinski. I'm Chris Hugo with Jeff Crow in studio for you this morning as we have a busy lineup coming your way today, of course, talking high school football. We'll also talk about some other sports as well here this morning, of course. We'll get you some scores in just a moment. What a night in high school football it was. We'll talk to Jared Sheener of the Mount Vernon Rams. His Rams come up just short last night, 44-42 to the Marion Wildcats. That one went to overtime at J.D. Shields Memorial Stadium. You listened to it right here on WMIX. You watched it online at WMIXSports.com. Johnny Hollis of the Cesar-Valera Waltonville Woodlawn Red Devils. Well, unfortunately, the Devils came up just short last night in the Hyphen Bowl to CZR, of course. The final score in that one. We'll get to that in just a moment, of course, on our scoreboard update. Todd Rushing, WMIX sports correspondent. He watched a good one last night. We'll talk with him about his game. We'll talk with John Shadowitz. He watched an instant classic last night as well in the Black Diamond. We'll talk with John about that. Jason Carnes of the Heron Tigers. They got a big win last night in river-to-river play over Murfreesboro. May or may not have pitched a shutout. Jason Roper, of course, the Harrisburg Bulldogs. They traveled through the tough terrain of Massac County and got a big win last night. Ron Weinmiller, another WMIX sports correspondent, will stop by. Of course, we'll talk about Benton and West Frankfort. They have a big football game coming up today. It's at high noon. You can listen to that game on two of our sister stations. We'll promote that throughout the broadcast. And then we're going to shift gears and talk a little JUCO volleyball. We'll talk Rend Lake College volleyball with head coach Sarah Cruz. A lot of local talent on that RLC Warriors volleyball team, of course, from all across the land. Benton, Mount Vernon, Nashville has had some representatives a time or two, and basically all Southern Illinois. Lone exception, they do have one on the roster, of course, from Marshall County, Kentucky. Other than that, it's mostly in-district kids on the RLC volleyball team. We'll talk about that, struggling somewhat in the early going, but still plenty of season to be had for RLC volleyball. All of that is coming up here on your Saturday Sports Show. But if you take a look at the prep scoreboard from last night, you can find the full scoreboard for most of the state, basically everything that we're concerned with. Even went a little far with the Okaw Valley on the website last night. But taking a look at the WMIXSports.com prep scoreboard, there's a lot of interesting scores from last night.
Well, the non-conference opponents for Mount Vernon, Rochester beats Lamphere 49-7. Jerseyville beats Muscuda 41-16, and Highland beat Triad 43-8. Mount Carmel beat Washington, Indiana 48-13. So two of the four non-conference Mount Vernon opponents won last night. Marion, of course, South 7 beats Mount Vernon 44-42 in overtime. Althoff demolished Centralia 58-7, and Carbondale hung on to beat Cahokia 28-20, so Mount Vernon gets 5 more playoff points this week. Black Diamond Conference last night, the overtime special at Fairfield. It was the Mules 28, Carmi 20 in overtime. Chester shuts out Johnson City 50-0. CZR beats SBWW in the Hyphen Bowl 20-13, and El Dorado beat Hamilton County 46-6. In the river-to-river Mississippi last night, Carterville home beats AJ 57-27. That game wasn't as close as that score. Nashville beats Sparta on the road 44-26, and DuQuoin gets off the schneid, gets their first win of the year, and beats Pinckneyville 14-3. In the Ohio Division last night, Harrisburg on the road beats Massac 28-8, and Heron on the road shuts out Murfreesboro 31-0. Those scores and more, we'll go through more later on at WMIXSports.com.
There you go, your prep scoreboard from last night from all around the area, plus even central sectors of this great state of Illinois, including, of course, the Apollo Conference, Southwestern Conference, the Big 12, the Central State 8, which is more than 8, can't count either, a little Illini Conference, both divisions, the Mississippi Valley, the Okaw Valley, the South Central Conference, and, of course, some of the independents and or other non-conference games from last night, such as the Milk Bowl, and, of course, some future Apollo members and future Rams opponents as well on the scoreboard last night. We hope you'll take the time to enjoy that. It's all at WMIXSports.com. Of course, you can find video highlights. You can also find archives of past broadcasts. We'll have today's broadcast and last night's broadcast archived before you know it, on our sports website, WMIXsports.com. Jared Shaner to come for the Mount Vernon Rams. Of course, a 44-42 loss in overtime last night, and you kind of start to get that feeling of, would you rather lose by 2 in overtime, or would you rather get beat by 50? We saw both of those last night in high school football. Crazy
Neither
night.
one's good. They're feeling the same way. You know, you go on the road and get shelled if you're Centralia. You stay at home and you lose a tough one, which a game you led or tied for 48 minutes. And the first time Mount Vernon trailed was in overtime on the Marion's first possession touchdown. So neither one is good. Neither one feels any better than the other, and it's an uphill climb for a lot of teams after 5 weeks of high school football season to get into the playoffs.
Yes, it is. And, of course, we saw some of our first teams that are pretty well eliminated last night. I don't think 4 and 5 will get you in this season just because of the sheer fact that there's going to be too many 5 and 4 teams with enough playoff points to get in. So after week 5, your 1-5 teams pretty well eliminated. Exclusive for our social media friends on Facebook, the WMIX Sports Social Media Question of the Week is already on there. We'll introduce it to our on-air guest, of course, coming up here with their interview with Mount Vernon Rams head football coach Jared Shaner. Here to come after the break here on the Saturday Sports Show. It's powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Stay tuned.
A digestive problem can affect every area of your life, but now there's a specialist right here in town who focuses on digestive health. Mayo Clinic-trained Dr. Tegpaul Atwal has opened the only gastroenterology clinic in Mount Vernon. Dr. Atwal treats acid reflux, gallbladder problems, inflammatory bowel disease, ulcers, and more. For your appointment with Dr. Atwal at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 618-241-9071.
America is a nation on wheels. Everyone has at least one automobile. We use them for shopping, work, everything we do. But they can be a threat. Some accidents can't be prevented. Your professional Pekin Insurance Agency, Page Insurance on Crown View in Mount Vernon, can help protect you from a large financial loss when an accident happens. Call Page Insurance today at 242-7000 about low-cost auto insurance from Pekin Insurance. Ask them about the many money-saving discounts that are available. Depend on your hometown professional. Pekin Insurance.
Here's Jeff Schmidt for Schmidt Chevrolet of Mount Vernon.
The 2014 Chevy Impala is a car like no other. It's a world-class car. And I tell you, Chevrolet really knocked it out of the ballpark with this car. The more we show it, the more we love it. Our customers love it. The design is beautiful. The interior is absolutely gorgeous. The ride and handling is like no other. And for the money, I don't think you can find a better buy out there right now.
Schmidt Chevrolet of Mount Vernon, 3423 Broadway in Mount Vernon.
Back on WMIX, WMIXsports.com. Good Saturday morning to you. Saturday Sports Show is presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Chris Hugo with Danny Zawinski alongside here on the Saturday Sports Show. We welcome the head coach of the Mount Vernon Rams. Tough loss last night in overtime, 44-42. It's Jared Shaner. Coach, good morning.
Morning, guys.
I know that you would love to have had a better morning and take that one against the Marion Wildcats last night, but a team that has always had a tough, close-knit rivalry with Mount Vernon. Even though it goes the other way last night, I still think there's a lot of positives to be taken from last night's game.
Well, yeah, from a football game perspective, it was a good game. Both teams made plays at times, and obviously it was exciting. They came back a little bit and tied it up, and go to overtime, and it comes down to the final play, a 2-point conversion. So, exciting game, and we did a few good things, but definitely just disappointed. We had plenty of opportunities to make a couple plays offensively or defensively and just didn't get it done.
A couple of things that stand out to me. One of those was the fact that your team jumped out early. Things went pretty easily for your team. But then Marion came back, and I kind of sit on the rail, kind of punched your team in the mouth a little bit. How did you feel about your team coming back like they did, to battle back and take the lead, even though Marion was not going to let your team roll over and do what they wanted to do last night?
Yeah, that was definitely good. We, going into halftime, we felt like, we could have scored right before half and gave them a long pass. So we were a little frustrated. The kids were down at half, and I said, you know what, it's glad that you guys are disappointed, but ultimately we're still up 8 points. Let's go out and play like we're in it, and credit their offense in that third quarter. They kind of did to us what I try to do to people, and that was our offense stood over on the sideline and watched the game. And they put a nice drive together to start it. We got the ball back, fumbled on the first play, gave them the ball, and they put another drive together. And I looked up, and it was, 2 minutes to go in the third quarter, and we had touched the ball one play. That was pretty frustrating. But I was proud of our kids. I felt like we toughened up a little bit there at the end of the third, beginning of the fourth. And, we did put a drive together and took the lead again. But unfortunately, gave it back up there later on.
Getting it back up there, and what Marion did, I thought, like you mentioned, that drive, when they were able to march down the field, I think it was a 13-play drive they put together. It seemed to me, even though it ended up tied and going into overtime, it seemed to me that drive by Marion really kind of changed the complexion of the game and the mindset for both teams, as well as Marion's change of quarterback. Talk about the change of quarterback for Marion, how that affected you and your coaching staff as far as making plans in the game to try to control Marion from that point on.
Well, yeah, I think, two things, like you just said. Number one, I think momentum's a pretty funny thing. There's no way to really keep a stat on it, but anybody that knows anything about sports can watch it in any contest, and it kind of swung last night, and they took it from us, and sometimes it's hard to get it back. So they did a nice job. And then in terms of their quarterback play, their sophomore played in the first half. Prior to the game, we talked to them. Coaching staffs get along pretty well, and they just felt like he was the best direction for them to go, and maybe put number 4 at the receiver position. Give them a little more athleticism out there. And so they did that for the first half, and had they done that for the second half, I think we probably would have got a win. But the Hill kid just gives them a whole other dimension at quarterback.
When you get Hill out, when Hill comes in and gives you that next dimension, and at that point you have to adjust defensively, how much of a key was that for them to execute and convert on fourth down in the second half compared to what they did in the first half?
Well, I think it was huge. Like I say, he just gives them another dimension. He's probably one of the best athletes on their team. And the thing that when I watched the film last night and this morning is, we gave up some long pass plays, but really it wasn't that defensive backs were out of position or anything like that. It's that he keeps plays alive at his feet, and it's tough to go out and cover somebody for 4, 5, 6 seconds long, and then he starts to scramble, and you get a defensive back that comes up, and all of a sudden he puts it over your head or whatever the case may be. So, like I said, he's a good athlete and really just gives them a whole other dimension to their football game.
Speaking of dimensions and dimensions to offense, I thought the Rams did a great job last night of showcasing their running game and able to mix it up quite a bit to keep Marion on their toes. And though it did not work out for a win for the Rams, I still thought that so many dimensions were on display last night that will have to be a benefit, of course, coming up for future games, because after seeing everything last night, every team now in the conference is 1-1. The only conference in the state that can say that. Every game is going to be up for grabs, it seems like, from here on out.
Well, I think so, and I think that's the other reason. I hate to dwell on it because there's nothing we can do about it now. But I just knew what a great opportunity we had last night, and we let one get away. And the thing I told the kids after the game was that's life. It doesn't always go your way. Things happen, and there's no taking them back or getting them back. So yeah, you're right. Everybody's 1-1. So ultimately, the way we have to approach it, and 5 other head coaches in the conference are doing this morning, is really in conference everybody's 0-0. It doesn't matter. You got to go out, and if you win your games, you're going to be good. So that's the mentality we have to take from this point forward.
Sun came up, and you turned the page to next week. A Carbondale team that got their ship righted last night after stumbling at Centralia last week. They went at home against Cahokia at this time. What can you tell us about Carbondale coming into the game?
Well, they're scary. They have unbelievable weapons on offense. They've got a couple basketball kids out that I don't think had played in the past. Their quarterback leads Southern Illinois in passing. They have a receiver that's caught 50 balls. He caught 20 in one game last week. They're just really, really dangerous. They score a bunch of points. And their defense is much improved, too. They haven't given up anything. So They're definitely going to be a test. We have homecoming coming up this week, so it's always a challenge with the kids. You want them to enjoy the full experience of high school and all it has to offer and homecoming activities, but I always tell the kids, and they're about to come in this morning, when you're a football player, homecoming week sucks if you don't win the game, so that's going to be our focus.
Is homecoming, I know there's other things, but school function-wise, is that the one that would give most coaches gray hair?
That's or no hair, one of the two.
What kind of distractions? Well, I mean, for a listener out there, obviously it's not been around for a while in high school. So, what kind of distractions are you having to deal with or focus with this week as far as getting your team ready for the game with all the homecoming activities going on?
Yeah. Well, homecoming, like I said, it's an enjoyable time and very good for school and the community. But in terms of football and keeping your kids focused, it becomes difficult. Every school does a little different, but here each day has a different theme. So kids might dress up or do something different on each day of the week. At night, we have a couple different things going on. We have a Powder Puff football game this year where the girls are going to play flag football game, and the boys are kind of involved in that a little bit. Obviously, we have the parade later on in the week. We have an assembly. They have the dance that is just over the top. It's a really big deal. The girls always look nice, and the guys usually dress up and wear tuxedos, and so there's all these things going on, and kids and coaches have to find a way to balance, being able to partake in those things and have a good time and enjoy it, but also keep your mind on, having 4 good practices this week, coming out and being focused on Friday night, not thinking about what time you're going out for supper the next day or when your girlfriend's getting her hair done or, who you're going to the dance with. So, again, those are kind of some of the things that you deal with during homecoming week.
Well, it can be a positive, but sometimes, unfortunately, it can be a negative. And, of course, what kind of positives can you relate to the Rams this week about Carbondale? All the ink has been on this high-powered, high-octane offense. I think Cahokia last night displayed some ways you can stop them. Centralia did a week ago. Of course, every team is 1-1 in the conference. There's that. But also another thing to take away is that, granted, these are completely different kids, but in 2011, this was a Carbondale team that came into J.D. Shields Memorial Stadium again on homecoming night, and the Rams were able to send them packing with a loss. There's a lot of positives to look at coming into Week 6.
Well, you're absolutely right, Chris. The last 2 years, 2 years ago, we beat them on our homecoming. Last year, we went to their place for homecoming and should have probably got a win, gave one away late. So we've played them well the last few years. Obviously, they have a new coach and doing a few different things, but ultimately, I think we can still talk about those things. And then just the fact that you are right. The last 2 weeks, two conference teams have held them, I guess you can say, in check comparatively to what they had been doing. I think they've scored between 25 and 30 the last couple of weeks. So. We got to watch those films and see how that happened, and hopefully improve a little bit defensively and clean up some mistakes on offense.
Final question for you before I let you go. Get ready for your team. Of course, you know what it is. Our sports social media question of the week, and this week's question is: what pro franchise would you like to own? I don't know if I can give you 2 or not. From my heart, it would definitely be the Seahawks. I just think they have a sweet thing going up there, and with the stadium and the 12th man and things like that. And I guess also from my heart, some people aren't going to be very happy with this, but the Cubs, they just have a great, unique history and tradition, and whether you love them or hate them, they have a great following. They sell out games, and I think from an owner perspective, there's a lot of brand marketing and money to be made. So I think maybe that one's a little bit more with my pocketbook than my heart.
There you go. There is nothing wrong with that whatsoever, Trainer. Of course, we wish the best of luck to the Rams this week against the Terriers, and I think it's definitely a game to be had and a reason to celebrate homecoming this week.
Well, I sure hope so. Thanks for having me this morning, guys.
That's Jared Shaner, head coach of Alberta Rams football, lost to Marion last night 44-42. But a lot of positives to take away from that, I think, coming in.
There are. I mean, it was obvious last night that, Mount Vernon came out early quickly, and Marion kind of battled back, and, Mount Vernon knew they were going to be in a dogfight early on, and then when Marion switched quarterbacks, that makes such an adjustment on defenses because now all the technique and all the fundamentals you've had ingrained in your mind all week change. And now you've got a guy who comes in, he can do a little bit more with the football, whether it's throwing or running. He's more of a mobile quarterback. And several times on fourth down, he was able to get free, and he's able to make plays. And, the defense was set up, but he made plays. He either ran for first downs, he either threw for first downs. It happens. It's an adjustment time. Its coaches have to take care of things. And to credit Marion, to be down and trail the entire time until they get to overtime and take their first lead, that's a credit to Kerry Martin. I said during the game, you got a team that's been to the playoffs 8 years in a row. They've been in bigger games. They've been in pressure-packed situations as the program has been. They knew what to do, and they seemed to handle things differently. Now, on the other side, Mount Vernon learned a little bit last night. Maybe a sour taste will ground them a little bit as they head in this Week 6 game at home against Carbondale.
Well, and, seeing the social media, of course, I did see a few chirps on Twitter, and now seeing, a thing on Facebook I just now saw, wondering about a kicking game. And if you're a high school team that has a kicker, one, you are very fortunate. If it's somebody you can rely on late in a game and has ice water running through their veins, you're astonishingly blessed and a little bit lucky. It's not easy to have a kicking game. It's not easy to find a kicker, one that you can rely on to kick field goals. Carbondale has the capability of kicking pretty lengthy field goals. They didn't try against Centralia last week and would have won the game from 32 yards out. You can't always, you're not always going to have a kicker to rely upon. And I know that some are wondering about that, but, a school the size of Mount Vernon, yes, it would be nice if they had a kicking unit, and they have in the past, but I think that there's been a little bit of spoiling there when you go from John Anderson to Mike Swinton, but really since then, not much of a kicking game at all. And, not every school has one. It just so happens that a couple of strong soccer schools in the conference, Althoff, Carbondale, Marion, have a little bit more of a kicking game, but you saw Marion go for two most of the time. And they sure take the field goal.
The thing about it is it's not just the kicker. You have to remember it has to involve the snapper. You got to have a long snapper because they're not used to doing it at high school level. You got to have a holder that can catch the ball, drop it down. You got to have a guy that can kick it through. And in high school football, the blocking and the scheme setup is not going to be the same as the next level you see today on TV or tomorrow on TV. It's a whole different ball of wax. And, if you got a guy that can somehow take a couple steps, punch it through somehow, that's great. But if you look around, not a lot of high school teams, with the exclusion of Heron, they got a guy that kicks field goals from everywhere, had a 42-yarder last night. If you don't have that guy and you can't send that out there, and you do a lot better percentage-wise getting two, you go for it. I mean, until you're down in that situation, until you've seen what's been going on, until you've seen the vibe, is the Marion defense able to get through and block the kick? Are they being really aggressive? It's a whole ball of wax. I mean, not everybody. If you go through all the schools down in Southern Illinois, the three conferences, rarely are you going to have a kicking system or a kicker set up to kick extra points.
And there you go. That's kind of our thought process on that. Of course, we need to take a break. We'll come back, talk with Johnny Hollis about last night's Hyphen Bowl. Of course, CZR did up in the SBWW Red Devils. We'll talk about that next year on the Saturday Sports Show, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Complete. That's the Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois with a full sports medicine clinic, state-of-the-art MRI, a spine care team that focuses on pain management, arthroscopy specialists offering total joint replacement, hand surgery, and complete rehabilitation services. Doctors Chow, Poole, Ahn, Kowalski, Freehill, and Smith stand ready to serve you today with offices in Mount Vernon and Centralia and satellite offices in Benton and Nashville. Find out more online at orthocenter-si.com.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. By now you have heard about our new One Checking product. The new One Account is a high-interest earning, free checking account designed for everyone. Unlike other banks that pay interest on higher balance, this account pays interest on all balances. From high schoolers to Warren Buffett, One will work for you. You can talk to one of us at 244-3000 and learn about the details. One, exclusively at Community First Bank. You will be one happy customer. Member FDIC.
Welcoming you back to Saturday Sports Show on WMIX and WMIXSports.com. It's all powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Chris Hugo, Danny Zerwinski, Jeff Crow in studio as well. Hyphen Bowl was last night, of course. CZR and SVWW. We talked with Red Devils head coach Johnny Hollis. Coach, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hey, I know it was the battle over Route 148 last night. It was the Hyphen Bowl. It's always a hotly contested matchup in rivalry week in the Black Diamond Conference. I know the Red Devils came on the ugly side of that score, but all in all, it's a close matchup. It's a rivalry game. It's a battle for a highway. It's a Hyphen Bowl. You know, close score. I think you still have to be proud of the effort last night.
Yeah, it's obviously disappointing. You know, it's one of those games where, you know, homecoming games, it's kind of the pinnacle of homecoming, and you never want to lose one of those, especially to your rival about 8 miles down the road. But I do appreciate the rivalry. It was a fun atmosphere last night. I appreciate our fans coming out like they did, and, you know, the hill was full, and it was a neat atmosphere, like I said, but I wish we could have won it.
Speaking of wish you could have won it, a game, as you mentioned, you and the Coach McCurran at Chris CZR have kind of stoked up the rivalry with the all-season lifting and workout. Compared to previous years when you're on the coaching staff at SVWW, how has that stoked up things maybe a little bit between the schools and the fans as far as the rivalry is concerned?
Yeah, I don't know. It's always been a good rivalry. I felt like maybe it had dropped off a bit in the last 2 years, and you know, I kind of got together a little bit, and we're friends. We kind of got together and talked about, you know, just what we could do to pump a little more energy into it and make the stakes a little higher. And you know, I didn't grow up around here. I didn't live around here. So, you know, what they tell me back in the 90s, it was quite the deal then. So we just kind of wanted to put it back to where it belonged. So we do. We get together during the summer and have a little combine activity between our teams with lifting and field events and a 7-on-7. And so that has really pumped some life back into what it used to be. And so, you know, and I think that was kind of evident last night. I mean, it means a little more to the guys and a little more to the fans.
Looking at the box score, and I'm looking at things like that. I'm a stat guy, box score reader. Looking down the total team stats, it was as even as it could get between the two schools, it looks like from the newspaper I'm reading. Was that the case in the game as well as how far even it was? And it was just a case of in a big game like this, one team made more big plays than the other? Yeah.
I mean, fourth quarter, they hit a 26-yard pass that I felt like was the difference. Just Towers. Towers played a great game last night. I got to give that kid credit. He, on both sides of the ball, you know, pinpoint passing when he had to, and kept plays alive with his legs, and picked one off right there at the end as we're going into score to tie it up. So, you know, great game by that kid leading his team. But, yeah, it was a very close game. I think we outrushed them by like 6 yards. They outpassed us by about 40 yards. So, I mean, it was, I think our first downs were the same. There was, you know, I mean, it was very even. Both of us lost one fumble. I mean, it was just back and forth, and it was like an old bar fight last night. And I mean, they played very hard. They had a good scheme on both sides of the ball. You know, they were a well-coached program this week.
Again, when you look at the box score and we see these things in such a close game, you see some of your names picking up some valuable experience on a Friday night. And again, as you move along, and what were the positives you saw from your team last night heading into Week 6?
We're getting better about when we get behind. Excuse me. When we get behind, we're getting better about not being so mentally unstable. I know that sounds weird, but this team, we've had a little bit of a history. You know, if we get a little bit behind, we get down. And football, I'm telling you, I mean, it's, you know, I've heard it said, like, football 90% is from the neck up. And we're trying to just overcome that hurdle a little bit. So last night, that's a positive. You know, we got down and we didn't quit. And there towards the end, we were on a 20, 15-yard line there trying to punch it in. And the guys, we've made a little bit of a drive to do that. So, you know, that's a bright spot from last night. As you said, some younger players stepping up and playing and getting valuable reps. That's always a bright spot, and it's going to lead to some good things down the road.
Next week, Vienna Goreville Eagles come into town, play you at home. It's a big game for the playoff push. I got to ask this question, though. You've had 3 of your first 6 opponents this year. You've been able to see them on a Saturday the week before you play them. Are you in charge of scheduling in a Diamond so you get a break like that all the time?
No, it's just, I'm telling you, man, this schedule this year is just weird for us. I mean, in some good ways and some bad ways. You know, you start out with heavy hitters of our conference, and then the way we finish the season, we finish with 3 games on the road. And so it's just kind of weird. It's just the way it's worked out this year. I don't know. I'm definitely not the commissioner of the Black Diamond.
Hey, that's all right. Hey, we got a question, though, for you. It's bigger than the commissioner. Our final question is our sports social media question of the week. What pro sports franchise would you like to own?
Man, right now, wouldn't it be fun to own the Broncos?
Probably would be.
You know, you always show a picture of Elway up there in his Armani suit with a big smile he's still got, and you got Manning down on the field. I mean, I would think that'd be a blast right now to own them.
Definitely a worthwhile pursuit to own the Denver Broncos. That'd have to be a nice market to own any professional sports team, I think. But that's a great answer. And Red Devils have another good matchup coming up next week. We wish you the best of luck, and can't wait to talk to you again next week, Coach.
Hey, guys, thank you for the coverage.
Thank you. That's Johnny House, Cesar Valera, Waltonville, Woodlawn Red Devils. And tough matchup last night. I mean, not, how do I put this? So much on that one from a rivalry perspective because, you know, and we were talking about this. I saw this back and forth on Twitter last night, of course, with one of our friends who runs the BDC website about all the other communities that really are involved in this one because those districts cover more than just Christopher and ZR and SV and then, of course, Waltonville. You have all those tiny little hamlets in there as well. So there'd actually be quite a few hyphens in that one, but so much geographically on that one. That's always going to be a nice rivalry game, and I'm not surprised that it was a touchdown difference.
And you look at the thing, and you look at what they've done. They've stoked up this rivalry. And, again, the bigger picture for SVWW is the fact that they're going to host Vienna Goreville next week, and that's a must-win. I mean, if they have any chance to do anything, they're going to have to win that one after tripping up last night. Then they go to Fairfield in Week 8 or Week 7. Then they've got to go to Carmine Week 8 before coming back home to Alvarado Trico. I mean, next week is a must-win game for the Devils at home against Vienna Goreville.
That it is, and we'll recap it next week here on the Saturday Sports Show with Coach Johnny Hollish. Now we have to go to our WMIX sports correspondent, Todd Rushing. We'll talk about the game he witnessed last night. Coming up here on the Saturday Sports Show, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what health care should be.
Back after these.
Mount Vernon is home to many wonderful people and things, and that includes quality cardiac care from Dr. Ruzek Ibrahim. A skilled cardiologist, Dr. Ibrahim's training and scientific accomplishments have earned his designation as a Fellow of the American College of Cardiology. His services range from preventative care to the treatment of advanced heart conditions. For an appointment with Dr. Ibrahim at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 241-9071 or visit in person at 4113 South Water Tower, Mount Vernon.
I cannot believe it. I can't remember a time when Ford F-150s had such huge discounts. Hi, Roy Schmidt, Ford dealer, Ford Square, Mount Vernon. We must clear out the 2013 Ford F-150s to make room for the new model year. This means massive discounts on America's favorite truck. Save up to $12,000 off MSRP on a new 2013 Ford F-150. With over 30 in stock, we are sure to have the right truck for you. From tuxedo black, metallic to Adobe, from silver to race red to blue flame, from XLTs to FX4s to Lariats and beyond. We have all the colors and models ready to get you to work. Come see one of our sales associates to get the best savings on the heavyweight truck champion at Ford Square, Mount Vernon, 1501 Broadway in Mount Vernon, or shop us online at FordSquare.com and find us on Facebook and Twitter.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXSports.com. It's powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what health care should be.
That's Danny Zerwinski. I'm Chris Hugo. Jeff Crow is with us as well. So we welcome our WMIX sports correspondent, Todd Rushing. He witnessed Carterville AJ last night. Coach, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
57-27. The Lions toppled the Wildcats last night. Is that kind of a surprise, or is Carterville looking that good right now?
Offensively, Carterville is just a juggernaut, and they're getting better defensively. Although it's kind of like he was watching a track meet with a football in it last night, because AJ moved the ball down the field quite a bit too. They had a couple opportunities to score, they didn't. The game could have been a little bit closer, but I think as obvious Carterville was a better football team with much more depth than last night. They did suffer a big loss when I think Behan fractured his leg, and that's going to be a big loss to them, because they're still very good. That's a big weapon, and gives you more balance when you can distribute between 4 people instead of just 2.
Okay, so in the past 2 weeks, Carterville's rolled up over 50 points over DuQuoin and AJ. Is there anybody out there that's going to be able to work on Carterville and actually give them a game in Southern Illinois as far as the 3A level?
Well, I think it's going to be hard to stop them. I really think they're that good offensively, because they showed something last night that Ashman, the quarterback, threw the ball very well. They've been a run-oriented team. If they showed last night that you give them crowd that box too much, they can put some yards and some points on the board and stuff with the arm, too. So that really gives them some I think they do struggle covering certain things. I thought they struggle covering vertical routes and double move routes and things like that. The underneath routes, short routes, they were very physical, close on quickly, but they let people get behind them. If there's anybody got some deep threat to throw the ball, then they can put some points on. But you're going to have to outscore them. You're not going to stop them.
Last night, AJ came in undefeated. This was the big matchup around Southern Illinois. They come in maybe a soft undefeated 4-0 record coming in. From here on out, AJ, what is that? What do they have to do to kind of get back on track and get things going again to make another run to the playoffs?
I think the main thing they have to do is stay healthy, Danny. I mean, they played pretty well last night. Carterville's a very good football team. AJ, had 27 points and had a couple more opportunities to score. And kind of one time was a good Carterville play. The other time, they kind of shot themselves in the foot. So they had over 400 yards offense, I think, and they're good. They just got to stay healthy. They can't afford to lose the wide receiver. They can't afford to lose Kemp or Reed, the running back, and the quarterback. Because those 3 kids there, that's who they really rely on to get their offense moving. And it's just really important they stay healthy. It's important for everybody, but I think it's really imperative for a team that hasn't got much depth like AJ.
AJ next week goes to Pinckneyville. They still have DuQuoin coming up. Around Southern Illinois last night, is there a game or games that kind of made you double take or double look because of the shock factor as far as any games are concerned?
I think the Alsop Centralia was a shock. I knew Alsop was good. I didn't think they put the thumping on Centralia. They did. That was kind of a shock when I saw the score this morning. I looked up on the High School Support Association, looked at the scores. I just didn't see them stopping Centralia's offense like that.
Back to the A.J. Carterville game, I forgot to ask you this. I wanted to ask this. For those of our listeners who haven't been to the pit in Hannah Jonesboro for a football game, from the coach's side, now from a fan's side, the excitement and atmosphere that goes on in A.J. surrounding that last night in that game.
It was like a mini college game day. I mean, they had barbecue grills there, and it wasn't your local patio grill. These were big roll-in behind the truck type grills set up everywhere. I had to park it basically in Jonesboro to get to the game last night. And it was a tremendous crowd. It was all the way around. It was probably a quarterfinal, at least, playoff crowd and atmosphere, and a lot of excitement. I think it really kind of got dampened really quickly, and Carterville scored 21 points as quickly as they did, or 22, but there was a lot of excitement in the air, because then you've got 2-story programs there with a lot of winning tradition, and both 4-0, and they both came in there expecting to win, and I think the fans come over the years expecting to win from those 2 towns, and so it was a great atmosphere. I told them this is the first time I've been down there in years, but I wasn't nervous for the game.
Hey, I got to ask this. I'm going to put you in Dennis Dreff's shoes. You're 5-0. You've beaten Carterville and A.J. You scored 50-plus points. How do you keep a team and kids like Carterville grounded over the next few weeks, even with those big feathers in their cap, beating DuQuoin and A.J. like Carterville did?
Well, I would use a lot of what I saw last night as far as giving up the points to A.J. and showing that, that people are capable of scoring on us. And if we don't start, showing up our defense a little, there's going to be one of those games just like the first game when they played Benton, you turn the ball over. You can play defense every night if you get it well. Just like basketball, Coach Clarn and everybody else taught us that defense is something you can do every night. There's going to be nights when your offense just isn't clicking and or things aren't going right. You can have turnovers, or you can lose a player like they did last night in Behan. So they need to be focused and realize that there are factors and things that happen in the game that you can't control. And so you better make sure you can control things you can. And defense is one of them. They got to show up that defense, and they could be vulnerable to somebody.
Next week at this time, high school football will be 2/3 over. Week 6 is around the corner. Have you started to look ahead next week to see where you might be heading to for a game?
No, I was just on the internet when you guys called. I was looking at last night's scores and everything, getting ready to look at next week's schedule. I haven't really picked one out yet. I haven't done that yet.
Are you deferring to Coach Shadowins? Is that what you're doing now in this case?
I probably do. I'll let him pick, and I'll go somewhere. A lot of my picks depend on too where's a good place to eat. I got to get that fill with Hugo, so.
That is Hugo at mywithersradio.com if you'd like to submit that via email.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that cardboard check.
It'll be a big novelty, no doubt about that. But of course, you never know what I'm going to do in response. It may go to my spam, or I may actually get it. You never know.
Missed the Milk Bowl last night. I could have went up and had a burger at Wally's if I went to the Milk Bowl, but I think I picked the right game.
It sounds that way. And of course, our WMIX Sports social media question of the week is: once you finally get your reimbursement check from me and can afford to buy a professional sports franchise, which professional sports team would you own?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. I know it wouldn't be the Cubs. Sorry, Danny.
A golf course?
That's a good question. I would probably like to own, believe it or not, the New York Yankees just because of tradition and history. I know there'd be a lot of pressure, but I think it'd be fun to be in that atmosphere all the time with the tradition they have. I'm a big tradition person, and they were the Packers. I'm a big Packers guy, and I'm not really a fan, but I'm a big honor of their tradition and what they stand for. Small town atmosphere, big time football.
There we go. Solid answer, solid logic, and of course I look forward to that bill coming to me, Coach Rushing. Can't wait to talk to you again next week about whichever game you're able to go to in Week 6.
Well, I'm going to pick one out, and I'll have my assistant with me, and we'll get you that bill for the restaurant.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks, guys. Enjoy it every morning. All right.
WMIX Sports correspondent Todd Rushing, of course, on the Saturday Sports Show. I guess you could say he will appear courtesy of my pocketbook once we get that reimbursement check. I have a plan. I'm already ready for it. So, but do enjoy his contributions each and every week, and I enjoy our next man's contributions as well. He is WMIX Sports correspondent John Shadowitz. He witnessed also an overtime game last night, and what a dandy that sounds like it was between Fairfield and Carmi White County last night. Fairfield Mules are 5-0 for the first time in 13 years, of course, under Coach Justin Townsend. John Shadowins is next here on the Saturday Sports Show, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Don't forget scores at the top of the hour. Back after these.
I'm Brian May with a look at your next rad weather. Today, breezy and very warm. Sunshine will be followed by increasing clouds. High today, 83. Mild tonight with rain overspreading the area, mainly after midnight, low 61. Tomorrow, tons of clouds and sunshine with a shower or two left over, high 75. Monday, times of clouds and sun, high 78. Next rad weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
Don't just dream about a better job. Go get it with scores of programs that take 2 years, 1 year, or even just a few months to complete. Rend Lake College is your gateway to a career you'll love. From nursing to coal mining, from computer programming to cosmetology, and everything in between. Rend Lake College is affordable, convenient, and ready to get you trained for your new job fast. Call us at 618-437-5321 or visit us at rlc.edu.
The health of your kidneys has a big impact on your overall health, affecting everything from your blood pressure to your bones. And if you ever have a kidney problem, Dr. Kangura is here to help. Dr. Kangura trained at the Mayo Clinic and specializes in conditions ranging from kidney stones and uncontrolled high blood pressure to chronic kidney disease. Dr. Kangura sees patients at Crossroads Specialty Clinic. For an appointment, call 618-241-9071.
Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXSports.com. It's powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Our next guest, of course, is our WMIX sports correspondent, John Shadowins. Coach, good morning.
Good morning, fellas.
Goes to overtime last night, Fairfield Carmi. Dare we say an instant classic?
I think so. I've never seen a Carmi Fairfield game in person before. I've seen a lot of them on film. Love the atmosphere, and what a game.
Looking at this game, for those that haven't been to the train yard in Fairfield, what's it like, as not only as a coach, but as a fan now, on a trip to Fairfield?
As a coach, you hate it because you never know when those trains are going to come through, and when they do, There's no communicating with your kids. If you have the ball, there's no hearing the snap count. Most refereeing crews will not stop the game. They'll keep going through it, and it's what they did last night as well. So it's kind of unique, and, the Mules are used to it, and they kind of embrace it. Of course, they've got the banners up, and they call it the train yard, and it's quite a unique home field advantage for them.
Looking at this game last night, obviously it's going to be close. A Fairfield team that seems to always traditionally start out quick, 4-0, but then when they see the teams, Carmi, El Dorado, Chester, come their way, they kind of struggle a little bit. How big of a win was this for Coach Townsend in Fairfield last night?
I think it's as big of a regular season win as I've seen Coach Townsend have. I think its biggest win, of course, is the playoff win against Central. But as far as regular season games go, last night was huge. This is not the most talented Fairfield team that I've ever seen. I think that his team, the 09 team, the 2010 team, they were more talented. This team has a certain chemistry about it. You just feel something about these kids working together. They play hard. They're quick. I like watching them play last night.
I look at the box score, and I look at the box scores every Saturday morning of these games, and I look at this one. I see Fairfield threw for over 70 yards. Is that a typo, or did Fairfield find a passing game last night?
Yeah, in the first half they had to, Danny. Carmi actually dominated the line of scrimmage and pretty much the whole first half, even though it was a 14-12 game. Fairfield actually scored on a tip pass and pulled a little closer. But it was a tale of two halves, and Fairfield had to throw the ball to even move it at all the first half. In the second half, they stayed on the ground. They went back to their old school process slot machine back from when Coach Hatfield was there. It was neat to see that and see them. I'm glad that they had that in their back pocket.
Looking at Carmi last night, Chase Taylor's a guy that gets a lot of ink. Is he probably the best player in the Black Diamond Conference right now?
If he's not, he's amongst them for sure, and he has since his sophomore year. There's so much on his shoulders right now. I think last night was the first game he didn't have to leave with cramps. He's just doing so much. Last night, I think I texted Danny and said they're gambling and not using him on defense because I looked for him at free safety. I was wrong. He's playing defensive end.
That's amazing to me. You sent that text, and I was shocked to see, to know that he played later on as much as he does. And again, when you look at the game, and Carmi jumps out in the lead early, and Fairfield's able to battle back. You have a buff kick return. The Mules start on their own 3. They go 97 yards in 17 plays. Aren't those kind of drives that just demoralize the Carmi team? They get ahead, they got Fairfield pinned, but then they go 97 yards. How did that sway Fairfield back in the game at that point?
Let's say a drive like that not only sways the game, it'll sway a season for you. I can think back to when I was coaching. I've had teams that go on a 90-something yard drive, and they call those statement drives. And I can still remember vividly the plays that we ran and called, and that's how much those drives mean to your program. And the other side of the ticket is when they happen to you, like you said, it is demoralizing. I was on the Carmi sideline during the second half. You could just feel the wind go out of the sails of the crowd. Carmi had just missed an extra point that would put them up 2 scores and could have salted it away. And then they gave it back to the Mules, of course, and that drive ensued, and it was something else.
Carmi had an opportunity at the end. They get it down to the 10-yard line. They elect to pass the football, and Rogers picks off Saylor's pass and sends it to overtime. Did you feel like at that point, before that play started, Carmi had to win in regulation, have any chance?
Absolutely. They had to score. I think Kurt knew it. Every ounce of momentum belonged to Fairfield. Fairfield was moving the ball on the ground. I think they kind of caught Carmi with his hands down a little bit with the formation with the slot machine. And who would have that happened like the Patriots last night as well. When a coach does that to you and springs something totally new, if you can execute it, man, what an advantage that is, because those kids on defense haven't seen that. They're not quite sure how to line up. So Carmi had to score there. The Fairfield was not going to be stopped from the 10-yard line in overtime, and of course they won.
Looking the next week, Coach Rushing has deferred to you for Week 6. He wants you to pick the first game this time. Where are you going in Week 6?
Well, I had this one planned for 2 or 3 weeks now. I was hoping it would still have significance. My daughter's a senior, and her last home game as a flag girl is that's earlier next week, so that's where I'm going to be. And luckily, it's just two teams fighting for their lives for a playoff spot, Butcher-Valier, Waltonville, Woodlawn, and Vienna. So, and it's usually a good head-knocking battle between those two schools. So, not a bad choice.
That's a good choice because that game there, after the Red Devils kind of stubbed their toe last night, it's a must-win, especially if they're scheduled in week 7 and 8. That they have to get that one, don't they?
Yes, I was counting that as a must-win before last night.
Right.
Now they've got to win that one and pull an upset on who, which is possible. You know, Carmine-White County is a team that, with Chase Taylor, he means so much to them. If he goes down, it completely changes the complexion of who they are, too.
Of course, Coach, obviously it's been an interesting football season thus far, not only, of course, at the high school level, but collegiately and even at the professional ranks, which leads us to our WMIX Sports Social Media Question of the Week. If you could own any professional sports franchise, which one would it be?
New England Patriots.
Okay. Now, since you say that, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Would you be willing to slip me an official Belichick hoodie? Because I can't bring myself to pay $80 for the official Belichick hoodie on NFL Shop.
You know what? If you look at Belichick, he takes those old cheap hoodies and he cuts the arms off of them anyway. And you can make your own official Belichick hoodie just as good. But yes, I'd sure front you one.
Well, this one comes with a certificate of authenticity because it's cut directly, allegedly, by the equipment manager of the Patriots.
Okay. Yeah, you get one of those, buddy.
Thank you very much. Coach, we can't wait to do it again next week. I love the insight. I feel like I learned something every week. We appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, guys.
That's John Shadowitz, WMIX sports correspondent. Of course, next week, I'm looking forward to that report, getting another perspective of the Red Devils and Vienna next week.
A different look. Talk about Vienna Goreville, how they've been going on, SBWW from a neutral perspective, and we'll have two people there. Coach Rushing can pick any other game he wants. We'll be ready to go.
There we go. And what I like about that, I haven't been able to catch up with Mike Roots since our Black Diamond Conference preview, which you can listen to that archive, of course, as you can every other local sports broadcast on WMIXsports.com. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get you your WMIXsports.com scoreboard. We'll run down those scores again after the break here on the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX and WMIXsports.com, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
The tradition of fine vehicles and great service continues at Second Chance Auto. They've been providing quality cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs for families like yours for over 33 years, and many are priced under $10,000. Plus, most have a 3-month or 3,000-mile warranty. Bank rate financing available with instant approval. No gimmicks, no pressure, just honest deals on great vehicles from your friends and neighbors at Second Chance Auto, living and contributing back to the community they serve. Located on Route 142 East in Mount Vernon, call 244-4582.
If you can't pick us up where you live, move. This is WMIX, Mount Vernon, Marion, another Withers Broadcasting Station.
Protect yourself and the ones you love by getting a flu shot at the Medicine Shop Pharmacy. It's the smart and healthy thing to do. Just walk right in. No appointment is necessary, and no prescription from your doctor is required. The shot is no cost to Medicare primary beneficiaries with Part B. Here's pharmacist and pharmacy owner Eric Black.
We have a seasonal flu shot event, which is not just one day, but usually 4 or 5 days that we schedule nurses to come in and give shots. I can also give shots to anybody who can't make those specific days, for example.
The Medicine Shop is also offering flu shot clinics. Here are the dates. Get your flu vaccine between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. on Tuesday, September 24th, and Thursday, October 3rd, Monday, October 7th, and Tuesday, October 8th. If you're homebound, every effort will be made to schedule a home visit. Call us if you require the service. The Medicine Shop Pharmacy, 2339 Broadway in Mount Vernon, or call 618-242-8776. Jim.
I'm Brian May with a look at your next rad weather. Today, breezy and very warm. Sunshine will be followed by increasing clouds. High today, 83. Mild tonight with rain overspreading the area, mainly after midnight, low 61. Tomorrow, times of clouds and sunshine with a shower or two left over, high 75. Monday, times of clouds and sun, high 78. Next round weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
Welcome back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com, brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
You bet it is. WMIXsports.com has an extensive prep scoreboard on it from last night's football action, but we also have it for you here on air.
Let's go. Our non-conference Mount Vernon Ram opponents: Rochester over Lanphier 49-7. Jerseyville beats Mascoutah 41-16. Makes me wonder why Jerseyville wouldn't be a good choice. Never mind. Highland over Triad 43-8. And Mount Carmel, Illinois beat Washington, Indiana 48-13. South 7 last night. Marion over Mount Vernon in overtime 44-42. Altoff beat Centralia 58-7. And Carbondale beat Cahokia 28-20. BDC rivalry week. Fairfield over Carmine overtime 28-20. Chester whitewashes Johnson City 50-0. CZR is the winner of the Hyphen Bowl this year over SVWW 20-13. And El Dorado beat Hamilton County 46-6. River to River, Mississippi. Carterville over AJ 57-27. Nashville over Sparta 44-26. And DuQuoin gets their first win over rival Pinckneyville 14-3. Ohio Division, the Berg won at Massac 28-8. And Heron beat Murphy 31-0. Cahokia Conference last night. Columbia beat Carlisle 33-2. DuPo, much improving. It beat Westcliff 42-21. That's a DuPo team to watch out for the next 4 weeks. Freeburg over Redbud 27-6. And in the Apollo last night, Mattoon beat Charleston 56-28. Mount Zion got 70 on Paris 70-33. And Effingham gets a win, beats Salem 9-6. More scores from around the state and the Metro East and everywhere around Illinois at WMIXsports.com.
There you go. It's mobile friendly. Check it out. WMIXsports.com. A scoreboard every night that there's local action. Set it as your homepage if you want. There you go. We'll take a break here on the Saturday Sports. When we come back, we'll talk with Jason Carnes of the Heron Tigers. They got a big win last night over the Murfreesboro Red Devils. Pitched a shutout. We'll talk about that defensive effort next. Brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than the hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
This is Chase Landers with Landers Collision Centers. It's been said that in order to grow, you have to change. Very rarely anymore do insurance companies ask the phrase to go out and get 3 estimates. The new phrase insurance companies are asking is, would you like to take your vehicle to one of our direct repair facilities? This is a way for your insurance company and collision repair center to help relieve the stress you may have from your unfortunate incident. And, as Landers Collision Centers has adapted to this forever-changing industry, we are extremely happy to announce that we are a direct repair facility for over 10 different insurance companies. It's likely that one of them is yours. From dealing with your insurance company, setting you up with a rental vehicle, lifetime warranty on repairs, and of course, Landers Free lifetime detailing for qualified customers, Landers Collision Centers literally takes the stress from your incident and turns it back into a shiny new ride for you to enjoy again. Landers is here for you whenever you need us. Big or small, Landers fixes them all. 1-888-LANDERS. That's 1-888-LANDERS.
This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Wilt. I want to thank Mount Vernon and the surrounding area for continuing to support us over the past 5 years. If you have never sat down with someone to go over your insurance program, let me invite you into our office. Let us show you what working with the industry leader, represented by a local agent, can do for you. I'm located just off 42nd Street. You can reach our office 24 hours a day at 242-1421 or on the web at tonywilt.com. Thanks again, and go Rams.
A digestive problem can affect every area of your life. But now there's a specialist right here in town who focuses on digestive health. Mayo Clinic trained Dr. Tegpaul Atwal has opened the only gastroenterology clinic in Mount Vernon. Dr. Atwal treats acid reflux, gallbladder problems, inflammatory bowel disease, ulcers, and more. For your appointment with Dr. Atwal at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 618-241-9071.
Welcome back to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX and WMIXsports.com. It's powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Chris Hugo with Danny Zerwinski. Jeff Crow is with us as well. We welcome to the program Jason Carnes, head coach of the Heron Tigers. Tigers last night beat Murfreesboro by a final of 31-0. Coach, sounds like it was a good defensive game for your team last night.
Yeah, defense has really come together in the last couple of weeks and really playing very good on that side of the football.
13 straight quarters for your team. You've not allowed a point in those 13 quarters. After starting 0-2, what was the key to the turnaround so far after 5 weeks?
I think it's credit to the schedule. Our schedule's a tough schedule, but that's no excuse in Waterloo. And and Carbondale's probably, athletic-wise, probably the most athletic team that's on our schedule this year. But Waterville, I think we're, still young, and just, we gave up 14 points up there, 14-3, but we just didn't get anything going offensively. But I just think they've come to work every day and, gotten better. Have to really put together. But we worked all summer and really stressed defense to get back to, if you want to win a conference championship, you got to be able to play. It's not about putting points on the board. You got to be able to stop that opponent. And we really stressed that special teams with the special teams we have, with our speed and with our kicker. We feel like we can be in every ball game as long as we can play good, solid defense.
Your situation beginning of the year, a lot of schools, teams go through injuries, lose players for a certain amount of time. You had an issue on the offensive line that's rather different than what a lot of people deal with. Do you care to talk about one of your players and why he missed a game or two for you this year?
Our starting center, he's two-way starter, linebacker, center from last year, and returner this year started for us, one of the anchors on the line, kind of the captain of the line there, center, calling a lot of audibles and stuff, calling blocks. He joined the National Guard and chose to do the early out program, and Summers to wait till he graduate next year. He left in the middle end of June. He was supposed to spend 9 weeks in Missouri, and they got 2 weeks behind. And he's supposed to be back on the 16th and still be able to play in the first game. Just missed 2 practices, but he ended up 2 weeks behind. Didn't get back here until Friday, August 30th. He missed the first game. Well, missed the first 2 games because of practices, not enough practice. But he's here now, so it was a situation he wanted to do, and we accepted it. And we had another kid fill in for him, and that was kind of, we struggled early on in the first 2 weeks. That was probably one of the few problems that led to the kind of a slow start with the new center in there, and they kind of picked on him a little bit, but we've got so much better with Ben Abney back in there at center.
As you look around the Ohio division right now, it's kind of a muddled mess. You and Heron and Harrisburg obviously getting some things going, but right now, over the next few weeks, what do you think or what do you believe you're going to see in this conference race over the next few weeks?
I kind of agree with you, Danny. It's kind of hard to tell. I mean, I think with Harris, and Ben's been banged up with the Button kid banged up. I don't know if he's going to go today, but he's banged up when we played him a little bit. And, still, when you win last year, win the conference, and the heavy graduation, but I still think Harrisburg, I know everybody's picked us, and, it's a nice gesture, but I still think you got to take one week at a time. And in Ohio side and Mississippi side both, and River, you got to stay healthy. Because in our case, in all schools our size, you lose 1 or 2 key guys. Like a running back, you lose a running back. A defensive back, you lose a guy on special teams. You don't have enough depth to get guys to play both ways. So it depends. You got to be ready to go every Friday night. You never know what's going to come at you. But I feel very good with our schedule, remaining games, and as long as we keep getting better and know what's at stake, and that's the conference championship that we want to go after because we didn't get it last year, and we want to get back to the top.
You go to Massac next week. West Frankfort comes in week 7. And then, of course, you have Harrisburg in that big matchup week 8. And as far as it goes the next couple of weeks, you're probably favored. But as a coach and a staff, how do you keep your kids focused on the job at hand the next 2 weeks and not look forward to that week 8 matchup?
We've been here before. It's not new to us, and we know we're going to be favored probably the next couple of weeks. And that's fine. That's why we like it. We just, as a staff, keep our kids grounded and very humble. We let our actions speak for themselves when we play. We're not going to jaw, but, most importantly, it's an opportunity, hopefully, that we'll get some other kids that have been out here every day in the summer, with 2s and 3s, an opportunity to get a play during the course of the game somewhere. So get some other guys, some younger guys, some opportunities, but I think we just take care of business early in the game and can jump on somebody early as an opportunity to maybe get some other kids a chance to play. And, you got to stay away from injuries. You don't want to get in a game where, you may be favored to win and play pretty well and just stay away from injuries and just take care of the football and keep doing what you do and don't worry about what the opponent does, and we'll take care of Heron Tigers and everything and work out for itself.
That it will, and of course you mentioned taking care of business. That brings us to our WMIX Sports social media question, which is sports business related today. If you could own any professional sports franchise, which franchise would you own?
If I could own one?
Yeah, it's all yours.
Well, I got 2.
Okay, that's fine.
My 2 favorite. I'll go baseball, St. Louis Cardinals, but football, Miami Dolphins.
Would you do me a favor if you own when you own the Dolphins? Will you change the color scheme?
I'm not big. Yeah, I probably would. I'm not a big favor of the I'm not a big favorite of the new helmets with that new Dolphin, but I grew up a Dan Marino fan and all that growing up with posters on my wall. But yeah, I mean, St. Louis Cardinals, huge diehard St. Louis Cardinal fan, and Dolphin fan. So I'm pretty excited with Danny Hill and the Dolphins 3-0 right now. Big game Monday night against the Saints.
Hey, this sounds like I'm talking to Bucket Hat right now. Chris Hayes. You two must get together and just chat about all the good old days, right? The Dolphins football.
Is he a Dolphin fan?
Oh,
yes.
my God.
Oh, yes, diehard.
Oh, man, I didn't know that. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, so now, there you go.
I'm going to get you a bucket hat. I'm going to get both of you Dolphins bucket hats.
Find me a Dolphin bucket hat.
There we go. You have to wear it on the sideline against next time you play Benton, I guess.
Okay.
Coach, thanks for taking the time to join us. Congrats on the win, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.
All right, thanks, guys.
That's Jason Carnes, head coach of the Heron Tigers. I'm going to have to try to make that happen now. I am willing to do that. So I think that'd be hilarious.
I didn't know he was that big a football fan. Like Miami. Can you believe him a bucket hat?
That's actually kind of scary because both are Cardinal fans.
Yeah.
And both are Dolphin fans. Oh, my. Well, Jason Roper, of course, of the Harrisburg Bulldogs, as we stay in the Ohio division of the River to River Conference. We'll talk with Coach Roper after a quick break here on the Saturday Sports Show. It's presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Hey, it's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
I'm Brian May with a look at your next rad weather. Today, breezy and very warm. Sunshine will be followed by increasing clouds. High today, 83. Mild tonight with rain overspreading the area, mainly after midnight, low 61. Tomorrow, times of clouds and sunshine with a shower or two left over, high 75. Monday, times of clouds and sun, high 78. Next rad weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
This is Chase Landers with Landers Collision Centers. It's been said that in order to grow, you have to change. Very rarely anymore do insurance companies ask the phrase to go out and get 3 estimates. The new phrase insurance companies are asking is, would you like to take your vehicle to one of our direct repair facilities? This is a way for your insurance company and collision repair center to help relieve the stress you may have from your unfortunate incident. And, as Landers Collision Centers has adapted to this forever-changing industry, we are extremely happy to announce that we are a direct repair facility for over 10 different insurance companies. It's likely that one of them is yours. From dealing with your insurance company, setting you up with a rental vehicle, lifetime warranty on repairs, and of course, Landers Free, lifetime detailing for qualified customers, Landers Collision Centers literally takes the stress from your incident and turns it back into a shiny new ride for you to enjoy again. Landers is here for you whenever you need us. Big or small, Landers fixes them all. 1-888-LANDERS. That's 1-888-LANDERS.
Mount Vernon is home to many wonderful people and things, and that includes quality cardiac care from Dr. Ruzaik Ibrahim. A skilled cardiologist, Dr. Ibrahim's training and scientific accomplishments have earned his designation as a Fellow of the American College of Cardiology. His services range from preventative care to the treatment of advanced heart conditions. For an appointment with Dr. Ibrahim at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 241-9071 or visit in person at 4113 South Water Tower, Mount Vernon.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXSports.com. Presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Working to catch up with Jason Roper, head coach of the Harrisburg Bulldogs. Bulldogs last night got a win on the road. It's always tough to play in Massac County.
It is tough.
Been down there before. 28-8. I remember watching a couple of Benton Ranger teams go down there. I believe one was a Nick Batts-led team in 96 or 7. Had some troubles down there with the Pats. I remember tagging along back when I just was a lowly score gatherer, and I remember squeezing in the box with you guys one time.
It's a squeeze.
It's a tough place to play.
Well, they have a new box since you've been there. Tough place to play. In Ohio Division, you have to make a long trip down the bus ride from all these teams and go to Massac, and to get a win down there, you got to feel pretty good coming out of that, heading into next week. It's a good win anytime you go to Massac and win anything.
Well, it's a great win for the Bulldogs, who need every win they can get. Probably have, as far as a school of that size, for a school, probably the toughest schedule of any school I've seen. Of course, we welcome to the program now head coach Jason Roper. Coach, good morning.
Good morning.
We were just talking, you have to feel pretty good going into Metropolis down there at Massac County and coming out with a win.
Yeah, it's typically for us, it's been a tough place to play. They play some good football down there. They're very physical, and it's kind of Coach Glass was there, and it's kind of a place that has a lot of tradition and football tradition and just a good overall athletic school. They got some good athletes, and it's always a competitive game for us for sure.
They get a big win last week over West Frankfort to go on the road to Massac and win. Was this kind of a trap game for your team with a Benton game next week with the rivalry you've had with the Rangers the last couple of years?
Our kids, I think, at this point understand, we got to take it one at a time with the way our schedule is. I think, we know every week in our conference, that there's going to be, whoever we're playing is going to be a physical game. It's going to be, a tough game. And I think our kids just, they focused on Massac this week. And, at least I did, so, once that was in the book, we move on to Benton, and I think they play at noon today, so we're going to try to get over and watch that game.
Well, you hold Massac County to under 200 yards total offense. You beat them for the fourth straight time. After 5 weeks, a lot of new guys, a lot of new positions for your team after experience that graduated last year. How are your younger guys coming along and getting used to playing under the Friday night lights for Harrisburg football?
I think they're doing a good job for us. We're still making some mistakes that maybe, older kids wouldn't make, or maybe things that you as a coach, when you have kids that have experience, you kind of take for granted, and you go back when you have kids that are inexperienced, and you do a lot of teaching and just, really try to coach every aspect of the game and don't take anything for granted. Our kids are doing a nice job. Seems like we're getting better each week, and our defense is playing really well, and I think one of the reasons there's our kicking game has been really good. Our kickoffs have been great, and we've been able to establish field position there. And our offense has sputtered at times, but we've been pretty conservative and kind of used our offense as a defense and helped our defense by establishing field position with our offense. I think that's really helped.
For our listeners, we were talking about the bus trip to Metropolis, and playing there in any sport's a tough way to go. For our listeners who may not have been to Massac for any kind of athletic event, how tough is it to go in as a road team and get a win at Massac County in any sport you play?
It's pretty tough. I mean, their athletes are very talented. They seem to always run well. And probably one of the things that, it's a little bit different. They're very, very physical. They always, seem to play a physical style of football, regardless if they're in a spread offense or what offense they're in. And, I don't know if that comes from maybe their youth league playing some youth teams in Kentucky or what it is, but they always seem to be really physical. And it's one of those bus trips for us, kind of down through Shawnee National Forest, and it's kind of a windy road, so it takes a toll on you as you're going down. And, we always try to get down there a little early and get our legs back under us. It's a great school with some great athletes, and Coach Warren's going to do well there.
Well, do well indeed. Things seem to be on the right track for the Harrisburg Bulldogs. Coach, our final question is always the WMIX Sports social media question of the week. And this week we'd like to know, if you could own any professional sports franchise, which team would you own?
Well, right now I think I'd own the Cardinals. I think, they're doing pretty well, and at least, I can, I take a glance every once in a while, during football season here, and you see everything that, the Cardinals going on, they're winning and moving on, so, they seem to be doing really well.
Are you comforting Jeffrey Drake at all in this time of Todd Helton retiring? Because I'm sure Jeffrey's been rather fragile here in the last week or so.
Yeah, he's doing all right, man. I tell you what, he's great for us. We're glad to have him. Him and his dad have been fantastic here in Harrisburg, and they bleed purple, and it's a great family.
No doubt about that. Coach Roper, good luck to the Bulldogs the rest of the way. hopefully we can talk to you again soon.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys.
That's Jason Roper, head coach of the Harrisburg Bulldogs, and of course, mentioned the Drake family bleeding purple. There is no doubt about that. Of course, Jeffrey Drake, a Rockies fan, because they came along right around the time of him being a toddler, I believe, and they were the first professional team really to wear purple.
Yeah.
In the baseball, anyway.
Oh, Jeffrey. Todd Helton, he's a class act. It's good to see him get some of the love that they've been giving him the last few days.
The best Tennessee quarterback you never heard about, of course.
I mean, if he doesn't get hurt, Peyton Manning doesn't show up for a while.
Yeah.
So, best thing happened to Todd Helton. He's hurting his knee, and he had a Hall of Fame career. And,
no doubt.
And now he won't be the answer to all the trivia questions in the morning on Tuesdays.
No doubt about that. Here, Saturday Sports Show, we need to take a break. When we come back, it'll be WMIX sports correspondent, at least that's his capacity this week. Ron Weinmiller will join us next on the Saturday Sports Show, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what health care should be.
Back after these.
Here's Jeff Schmidt for Schmidt Chevrolet of Mount Vernon.
We've got the all-new 2014 Chevy Silverado in, and it is a remarkable truck. We're very, very excited about it. A completely new truck with an option of a 6.5-foot bed on the crew cab, which is a feature that a lot of our customers really like. The ride and the handling of this truck is just second to none. It's the most fuel-efficient V8 on the market.
Schmidt Chevrolet of Mount Vernon, 3423 Broadway in Mount Vernon.
When you hear the warm, inviting sound of a crackling fire, what comes to mind? A rustic campground? A cozy cabin? How about the new Good Samaritan Regional Health Center? Our new family lounges feature a lot of comforts you might not expect. Things like this. No, that's not a babbling brook or serene stream out in the countryside. It's a 2-story waterfall located right here at Good Samaritan. And that's not the only way we're raising the bar for patient comfort. We've added lush healing gardens, as well as wall after wall of beautiful artwork, all designed to create the perfect healing atmosphere. And if all this sounds like music to your ears, we encourage you to check us out. Chances are, we're not too far from where you are right now.
The new Good Samaritan Regional Health Center. Raising a hospital, raising the bar.
High school sports are back, and your source for scores is WMIXsports.com. Also, find archived local sports broadcasts, video highlights, national sports headlines, and more right at your fingertips. Listen and watch live WMIX sports broadcasts from your desktop or any mobile device. Need a score? Want to see a sick dunk? Miss a game? Didn't get up in time for the Saturday Sports Show? That's right. It's all at WMIXsports.com. Another free service from Winners Broadcasting. WMIXsports.com.
Welcome back to the Saturday Sports Show on your home for Rams football. St. Louis and Mount Vernon, WMIX, WMIXsports.com. It's powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what health care should be.
Our next guest, acting today as a WMIX sports correspondent, is Ron Weinmiller. Coach, good morning.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Danny.
Good morning. It's a beautiful morning.
It is.
I got
the family loaded up. We're in transit to the beautiful Commonwealth right now.
Nice.
Gorgeous Commonwealth.
It's not more than
they hope more gorgeous in the winter than it is in the fall.
Well, yeah, especially when they on that other side over there in Lexington where they actually play but good basketball.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Is that where you're headed today, out to Winchester?
We are headed to beautiful Marshall County. One of my all-time favorite players is getting married today, so we are going to the little wedding. We're going to attend with former Ram Gus Gillespie. Gus and I are going to the wedding together, so. We can keep, but let me tell you guys, we can keep our Saturdays free if either one of you would pull the trigger and get married. We definitely free ourselves up, so I'm going to set on the top for thing.
Well, I'll remember that.
Yeah, I bet you will.
Yeah. He went there, and that's what's awesome about it.
I know.
Of course, big football game today, of course, in Franklin County as the Benton Rangers will meet the West Frankfort Redbirds today at high noon, and it is amazing, of course, with the emergence of Jeremy Clodfelder and Ryan Miller to Benton, and then, of course, working with the Frankfort administration to get this game back on a Saturday and make it a focal point. It's become a huge matchup in Franklin County.
Oh, yeah, I think, you're talking about the two biggest high schools in Franklin County. And anytime that Benton and Frankfort are going to play, it's going to be a big deal. And there'll be a lot of people that, whether it be football, basketball, baseball, they attend one sporting event a year, and that's one football game when Benton and Frankfort play, and one basketball game, whoever's hosting the home game. The same thing with baseball. I think a lot of it, you look at your rivalries you had, you've known those people, now they've got kids that are approximately your kids are the same age. And I think that's what makes it fun for the people other than the kids and makes it more of a community-type atmosphere.
Let's talk about this game from the Benton perspective first. The Rangers right now kind of been battling the injury bug. A lot of playoff experience the last 2 years. Is this really the first possibility in this series in the last 4 or 5 that West Frankfort might be sitting there thinking, hey, we got a shot to win this one?
Well, I think if you're West Frankfort, you got to feel pretty good, especially, I think as of less than 3 hours before game time, does Spike play, does he not play? I think probably the only 3 people in the world that know that are Spike and Jeremy and Ryan. I think that's a good question because, it's no secret that what the Rangers do definitely alters when Matt's not out there. And if he can go, I think it greatly increases our chances. They got some good athletes. Cole's playing football. Hartley moved back from Harrisburg. So they got some guys out there that can do some things as well.
A 1-3 Rangers team going into this one, obviously must wins all the rest of the way. The Ohio Division teams really don't have enough playoff points. Everybody's got to get to 6. If you're Benton today, basically after last week, the playoffs start today, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think unless you're in a closed conference or you're playing a schedule like Mount Vernon played early on and with Mount Carmel on the back end, just telling them a boatload of points, I think you're looking at, you got to get to 6 to feel good. I think anybody who's 5 maybe in the conversation. Look at Heron last year for the last 2 years. So I think you got to look at it and you got to get the 6. If we can't, then hopefully things will work out if we can get 5. But I think in order to keep it out of anybody else's hands, you got to go get 5 in a row.
West Frankfort comes in 0-4 overall, 0-1 in the conference, but realistically, this team is a lot closer to winning a couple games. They are losing them all badly. I mean, it's the Brian Berry team, and maybe the program, maybe even though the record doesn't show it, maybe starting to make a turn, and a splash today would be a win over Benton.
Well, I think you look at the points they put up. I think that shows you that things are kind of moving in the right direction. I've heard Coach Shaner say on your show before that you got to be competitive, and I think they're being more than competitive right now. They haven't showed it in the win column, but it's a process. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. Guys got to learn how to win, and I think that's definitely what he's got it going forward. And I guess the pressure is unbelievable. So I think they got some talent there in the lower grades, and it's going the direction that you want to see it going if you're Brian Berry.
Speaking of what direction you wanted to go, last night you went and watched Fairfield beat Carmine overtime, the other overtime game in Southern Illinois last night. Your thoughts on what you saw of the Mules and the Bulldogs last night?
Don't get a chance to see me in Black Diamond games. I saw Coach Chatwin there. I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but I did see him there. But I was very impressed with Fairfield. They're little bit, man, they're little. But they get after it, and they'll put a hat on you. And by evidence, last play of the game, that cornerback came up and he put a whack on Chase, and Chase tossed the ball up, and that was the ball game. But really impressed with Justin's team, and Bobby does a good job with that defense. They kept Sailor bottled up. They did a really good job on him, and I told Bobby last night after the game, I said, if you can just go south. He goes, what do you mean? I said, just stay away from Casey. I think that's got to be their thoughts as they start looking to go into the playoffs. But I was really impressed with them, and I was impressed with Carmine as well. They're more than just Sailor because, like I said, they kept him bottled up, and I thought for a lot of guys going both ways, man, they competed until the final play. I was very impressed with both teams.
Anything, or I should say any team or teams in Southern Illinois after 5 weeks going to this game this afternoon has really surprised you or actually been least impressive as far as what you thought going into this season?
I think Carterville's kind of doing what everybody expected them to do now.
I think that's probably not a surprise. I guess you just say that, the team you guys cover every week. 0-9 last year. They've had a couple rough roads to go the last couple of years, and man, just probably an eyelash away from being 4-1, and they're probably the biggest surprise. I think that Johnny Warren's doing a good job at Back. I mean, they went from not even being competitive the last couple of years to instantly you've got some guys playing, and they're competitive in a hurry. So they're probably the biggest surprise in our conference, I would say.
But speak after week 5, have you started to get your playoff points and teams figured out already?
I actually this week I downloaded it on the computer, put all the teams on there, started to kind of tinker with it a little bit. So yeah, after week 6 is when you can really kind of start to play out a little bit. You can eliminate a lot of schools, and it starts to kind of come into play. But yeah, I did start to tinker with it. I'm sure you guys will. If Mount Vernon qualifies, you'll have me back on October the 26th to talk about it for 5 or 6 days. So, but yeah, it's starting to kind of round into shape. All those 0-4s and 0-5s now, and 1-4s. It's pretty tough for them.
No doubt about that, Ron. Of course, behind every avid sports fan, there's usually a good woman. So obviously, we thank your lovely wife, Whitney, for allowing you to take the time to be on, because it is a busy weekend. I know you guys are traveling, and she is a saint for putting up with you.
She is a saint. And, right now we've got some document stuffing on in the back for May, so she's rolling. She's good. So we're having a good time, and always enjoy coming on with you guys.
And before we let you go, of course, the WMIX Sports social media question. This week we want to know, which professional sports franchise would you like to own, if you could own any of them?
That's a good one. A professional, like paid athlete.
Yes, you can't own a paid college team.
I'm going to say Kentucky basketball, because they have the highest revenue stream. No, I guess my guess was I would probably say an NFL team. It's stupid how much money those guys make. I'll go with, I'm going to win a Super Bowl for the Browns. I'm going to go Cleveland Browns. No one said that today, I'm sure.
No.
No, nobody said Cleveland.
But you are more than welcome to the Cleveland Browns.
I don't want to live there, but I want to own the Browns.
Well, you can fly back and forth because you'll have the money to own a plane.
Yeah, the NFL of Major League Film, yes, you can fly back and forth and own the team.
Right. Hey, our governor does it, so why can't I?
Right.
So that'll work. But hey, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Ron Weinmiller. Of course, WMIX sports correspondent today. We'll have him on again as he's already booked himself for October the 26th, as we'll preview the IHSA postseason to the best of our ability here on the Saturday Sports Show. We need to take a break. When we come back, we'll have Sarah Cruz, Red Lake College volleyball. We'll talk about some JUCO volleyball. I'll talk about the local infusion of talent on RLC, and even probably go into what it would take for high school girls right now to find themselves playing collegiately volleyball-wise. So that's all ahead on the Saturday Sports Show, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what health care should be.
Back after these.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. Now is a great time to move your account to Community First Bank. With our new One Account offering the highest interest rate in the market, free checking, and CD specials delivered by people you know and trust, why would you not bank with the market leader in Jefferson County? We offer 5 locations with 7 ATMs and have been serving the Jefferson County market since 1906. Stop in and see why our bank is the fastest growing bank in Jefferson County. Community First Bank. Welcome back to personal banking. Member FDIC.
What do you get when you combine the 2013 Motor Trend Truck of the Year with the best incentives in market during the only true truck month? Hi, Roy Schmidt, Ram dealer, King City Crisis Center, Mount Vernon. You get deals that are too good to pass up and a large selection that won't last long. Just when you think the deals could not get any better, try 0% financing for up to 72 months on Ram. Wait, I'm not done. That's 0% financing for up to 72 months, plus $2,000 cash back on new 2013 Ram Quad Cabs, Crew Cabs with the Bighorn, Express, or Outdoorsman packages. Take advantage now during the only true truck month. Come see one of our associates at King City Crisis Center at 1603 Broadway in Mount Vernon, or shop us online at KingCityChrysler.com.
The health of your kidneys has a big impact on your overall health, affecting everything from your blood pressure to your bones. And if you ever have a kidney problem, Dr. Kangura is here to help. Dr. Kangura trained at the Mayo Clinic and specializes in conditions ranging from kidney stones and uncontrolled high blood pressure to chronic kidney disease. Dr. Kangura sees patients at Crossroads Specialty Clinic. For an appointment, call 618-241-9071.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX and WMIXSports.com. It's powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
That was Danny Zawinski. I'm Chris Hugo. Jeff Crow in studio with us as well. We welcome the head coach of Rim Lake Women's Volleyball, Sarah Cruz. Coach, good morning.
Good morning to you.
And a great morning indeed to talk JUCO volleyball, of course, RLC. Of course, what I like about the Warriors volleyball team is there's so much local talent. So, I mean, it's girls that we've been familiar with through 4 years of high school volleyball, and now they transition to the college game.
Correct.
And then, of course, you know, you take a look at your roster. There's always been a great infusion of kids from Benton, but I see you're getting a lot in now from Nashville. I see your daughter from Mount Vernon is also on the roster. Pinckneyville, you really only have the one girl that's even from out of state, so you've done a great job of putting this localized roster together.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talent in Southern Illinois for several years. A lot of the girls are getting out. There's been some clubs pop up around, and a lot of the girls are getting out and they're playing volleyball year round, and they're tweaking their skills and they're getting better. So there's just a lot more talent in Southern Illinois than there was probably 10 or 15 years ago.
How does recruiting work out as far as junior colleges around here? Is it similar to what we see and hear about Division I, or how does that go as far as the JUCO level is concerned?
Well, we can start we don't have the same requirements, of course, that a Division I NCAA school has. Our contact rules are virtually, they don't exist. We can pretty much talk to anybody at any time, from junior high on up. What I try to do is get out and see some high school games, and I'm also involved in the club season, so I can get outside of our area and watch teams at club. And what you like to do is you like to see some kids when they're a little bit younger and kind of watch them develop through their high school system and their club system, and follow them and track them and develop relationships with them kind of early on.
And, of course, taking a look at the schedule thus far, some wins along the way, but, of course, you guys actually have a busy week coming up, a chance to showcase your talent, people to get out and see you this week down at RLC in the gymnasium. You actually have matches this week against SWIC and Illinois Central College before heading up north for a tournament.
Right. Yeah, SWIC, we've played SWIC already this year, lost to them in 3. I think they were very tight matches. They were very early in the year, and I've actually changed my offensive scheme from a 5-1 to a 6-2 since we've played them. Illinois Central is, they're ranked number 5 in the nation right now. We played them at their tournament a couple of weeks ago, weren't very successful. Hoping to have a little bit of an advantage playing them at home this week.
And I think that'll work out pretty well. And it'd be nice to get some people out there to see RLC volleyball, because I don't think people understand that when volleyball is played at a higher level, and of course we're talking at the collegiate level, it is great volleyball to see. I think sometimes we get out and we see younger youth volleyball and think, oh my gosh, but really when you get out and you start playing at a level like even the junior college level, I think people are missing out if they're not coming down and supporting Rim Lake volleyball.
Yeah, I think they are. I think there's a lot of girls in Southern Illinois who like volleyball, but if they were able to get out and see it played at that next level, they might love volleyball and become a little bit more passionate about it. It's a much quicker paced game than it is in high school, and it just looks a lot more competitive than it does at some of our local high school levels. And it might light a fire in some people if they would come out and watch it and just see what. Working over a long period of time and committing yourself to a sport, what you can accomplish. And, it's a great opportunity to be able to play college volleyball. There's, kids all over this country who are good high school athletes, but they're not playing at the collegiate level. So, it's an honor. It's an awesome opportunity, and it would be great if people would come out and watch it and see, what they might be capable of at the next level.
And most importantly, you know, you have all these girls participating in athletics. You have some that just maybe a little timid and not sure how to get involved. It happens with boys. It happens with girls. How can young women evolve into a collegiate volleyball player? What do they need to do to eventually play at the college level?
They have to be willing to work harder than the next person. You know, somewhere, I'm going to quote Tim Tebow, somewhere somebody's working harder than you. And, you know, you have to get out and you have to see what that next level looks like so that you know what you need to do to pace yourself to get to the next level. You know, they need to, unfortunately, you know, it's way different than it was when I grew up. I could play two sports and, you know, didn't have to play volleyball year-round, even though I did. Could commit myself to another sport as well, because I'm an old person, and the rules were different whenever I was in high school and college. But, you know, today, if you're going to be successful at the collegiate level, you can still do a sport. You can still do more than one sport, but you have to pick a sport, and you have to commit yourself to that particular sport, you know, and off-season training, because that's what the successful kids are doing. And if you're not going to do that, then you're not going to have you're not going to be at the same level competitively as they are. So, you know, and it doesn't have to be necessarily just volleyball, but committing yourself to some sort of, you know, regimen as far as physical activity goes to stay in shape and be in the condition that you need to do to compete.
Of course, Coach, that brings us to our final question. We ask everybody a WMIX Sports social media question. And this week we're asking everyone, we want to know, if you could own any professional sports franchise or perhaps start a sports franchise, which team would you own?
The Dallas Cowboys.
Nice. Have that big stadium, have that nice big screen there at it stretches beyond midfield. That's a good choice. Coach, Obviously I know it's a busy week coming up for you. I heard you might be scouting today, so we thank you for taking the time to join us and encourage anybody that might be in the area this week to check out RLC Volleyball. And, of course, you have quite a few home games over the rest of the season.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot left in October at home, so.
Appreciate the time. That's Coach Sarah Cruz of Ridley College Volleyball. We appreciate her taking the time to join us today, of course. You can find their schedule online at rlc.edu/Warriors. Just click on volleyball, and, of course, you take a look at this week. They have the second and third where they're at home, and then go to a tournament, and then, of course, they play Greenville College Davie the following week. Go to Kaskaskia, of course, where that'll be a nice mixture of two teams with local talent. That is our talk for Ridley College this week. We'll talk RLC cross country next week. 3 kids from the county down there on the boys and girls side. We can't wait to talk about that next week on the Saturday Sports Show. That said, plenty of things to talk about for the remaining 15 minutes of the show. We'll talk a little bit more high school football, of course. We tweeted on Twitter today's schedule. Of course, the Mount Vernon Rams soccer team welcomes the Harrisburg Bulldogs at 11. Rams golf at the Centralia Orphan Invitational. Cross country boys and girls, of course, is at Springfield today. Tennis, of course, is hosting the MV Invitational out there at Veterans Park going on now. And then Lady Rams volleyball, of course, is at the Heron Invite. You heard it last night in the Rams report at halftime, also during the Rams football game. That said, the WMIX Sports social media question of the week, still plenty of time to answer on social media. If you could own any professional franchise, which franchise would you own? DCR, I think I know yours, but you might surprise me.
Oh, I have several. You know.
UK basketball doesn't count, Ron Weidmiller.
If I want to win all the time, I don't know. The Cubs are intriguing because they're doing things a different way. The Cowboys are intriguing because everybody likes the money. You know, the NFL makes a ton of money. About 5 years ago, anybody would have jumped on NASCAR, but that's kind of like a losing endeavor right now at this point. So, if I had to pick one, two, the Cubs or the Cowboys. I'm very intrigued about getting in a good old boy club in the MLB. Either one of those two would be good.
Cubs intrigue me, and believe it or not, as a Cardinal fan, who's actually borderline other teams fans too, I'm really not the most loyal baseball fan, unfortunately, anymore. Be that as it may, this answer is going to shock you because I am not necessarily a fan of this team, but I feel that the St. Louis Rams have a lot of potential. One, you have to stop whining about the stadium and try to improve things in the stadium in terms of things that you can control. And I think that even though they're trying to lean on the city and the CVC, or whatever they call them, I think that there's still improvements you can make without spending a lot of money. I think if you put more focus and worry into the on-field product, Stop worrying about franchise quarterbacks, maybe worrying about like an offensive line, things of that nature. That's just on the field. There's a ton of things that you can do. I mean, sports business goes beyond the product. Obviously, you have to look at things such as media outreach, things like that, brand management, marketing, and things of that nature. I think there's a lot of potential to St. Louis Rams, and that would be my choice, just because I think that would be, financially speaking, the one I could probably make the most money at implementing some different ideas outside of the on-field product. You hire somebody you can trust for that. You stay out of it.
My thought is,
no offense,
as
Kevin.
low as ticket prices were right before kickoff for the 49ers on Thursday night, what's the fan base reaction in St. Louis for the Rams? I know it's not a very good product. I know that the Cowboys shelled them last Sunday, and with the Niners coming in, it's a Thursday night and work the next day, but you got to wonder what the fan base is and how their fervor is for the St. Louis Rams. And with everything going on with Jacksonville problems, with the L.A. market, they're wanting to get a team in L.A., you have to wonder, is St. Louis going to be around the next 5 years with their stadium issues?
And that's the scary thing about it. And the NFL makes so many adjustments, so many tweaks. That's almost something where it's an obvious case where the top team in St. Louis, the Cardinals. The Blues are close second, depending on the time of year. The Rams, it's almost as if you're going to have to try to work with the NFL and kind of adjust to the Cardinals' schedule. I hate to be that way on Sundays because at home games, if you're both at home, you're going to lose to the Cardinals. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just all there is to it. If I had a time machine, though, it'd be the St. Louis Blues back in the 90s. So many different things. No offense to the Keel Center partners at the time, led by Mike Shanahan, but there are so many things I would not have done that they did. Hiring Mike Keenan would change all. So there you go. That's it for that, I think. You can answer as well. But by the time machine, it'd be the St. Louis Blues.
Where? On what answer? On a hockey team?
No, just on the professional. If I had a time,
I don't know. WWE is out there too.
Well, time travel not possible. It's the Rams. Time travel possible. Flux capacitor. It's the St. Louis Blues. Back in the 90s.
There's a lot of you got to have some money to get into. You got to make some money. You got to use your facilities for other events. I'll take that back. You don't have to use your facilities for other events as long as the scheduling and timing works out, a.k.a. last weekend. But, you got to be able to market, concerts, events, and whatnot to get people to your stadium. No matter, like a football stadium, you don't use it 10 times a year. For football, you need to have something other so many days.
The other thing about that is, though, and here's where a local team, local professional franchise fails, is they allow the stadium to be used for so many great things that you don't know about because they don't talk about it. They just rely on web traffic to do it, and web traffic is great. And yes, digital and mobile definitely going to be a key factor as far as future marketing. But if you're not promoting it in other ways and generating word of mouth, say through radio, you're not doing yourself much good. So people talk about word of mouth being the best form of advertising. Well, if you don't have anything that generates that word of mouth, you're not going to be very successful. Radio is perfect for that. Here nor there, of course, as we'll get back to local sports here on the Saturday Sports Show. This is the Saturday Brand Marketing Show. But anyhow, look at last night. You can find the full scoreboard at WMIXSports.com. Really, to me, no surprises.
No. Week 6, though.
Yeah, we knew Mount Vernon Marion was going to be close. The only true surprise I had, I happened to be talking to another radio voice yesterday about a couple of the games around the area.
In your head or actual person?
Not just me talking to myself as what happens in my cubicle. I was legitimately talking to another human soul yesterday, and not surprised by Althoff Centralia in terms of the winner. Surprised by Althoff Centralia in terms of the score.
Well, yeah, I mean, if the injuries are what we've been hearing are true, it's a shock. Althoff is going to be mad because Mount Vernon snuck in and got him last week.
Still mad about last year.
Still mad about last year at Centralia, how that all went down. So they probably had some extra fervor and venom ready to go last night. The score that got me, based on all the events and what was been going on, Duquoin and Pinckneyville, I am shocked. I mean, I missed that one by far. Again, that's the second time I've missed the Pinckneyville games this year. I thought Pinckneyville could beat them by 2 scores, at least. Maybe 1 to 3 scores. Didn't even come close, only scored 3 points. So Al Martin did something, said something, whatever. Is enough to save Duquoin's season? I don't think so. But that, to me, was the big score. I figured Althoff would win. I figured Carbondale would win. I figured Anna would get beat by Carterville. But, Duquoin-Pinckneyville was a shocker for me last night.
Well, no doubt about it.
Another one was really interesting?
What's that?
Bearcats going in and beating the Red Devils at SBWW with the way the Red Devils have been playing. That to me was that's one of those games where last night you're like, okay, if Red Devils win, it's okay, but now they lost. It's like, ooh, they were counting on that one, to get them over the hump at 3-2, but now they're 2-3, and I got to win 3 more with their schedule. Yikes.
Well, I'm taking a look at the South 7 next week in Week 6. You have Althoff at Marion. You have Cahokia traveling to Centralia. Of course, Carbondale comes here to the King City, but I think Althoff Marion sets up to be a dandy. Cahokia Centralia, it would be interesting to see what they're going to be able to do offensively now if the injuries hold true. And, you're taking a look at the Mount Vernon Rams and taking a look at Carbondale. I mean, we've learned that anything is going to be possible each week in the South 7 with everybody tied at 1-1.
Carbondale brings in offense. That's something that the Rams are going to have to be careful of. They bring a tremendous offense. So already your best defense is going to be Mount Vernon's offense to run the ball and see if Carbondale can handle the run game.
Right.
You've got to keep the offense off the field, but then Carbondale's improving. So, I mean, every week in the South 7's a mess anyway, so because everybody's 1-1 now, it's only going to get messier next week. So.
In the Mississippi, the river to river, of course, you have AJ at Pinckneyville. Not sure what the injury is there.
Not much.
It was a key player, but not,
Yeah.
We'll see what happens there. I think AJ still has to be the overwhelming favorite with all due respect.
Oh, I think all three of these, when you read them, are overwhelming favorites.
Yeah, DuQuoin, Sparta.
Yeah.
Nashville, Carterville. I mean,
right.
They pretty well go without saying. Ohio side, Harrisburg, Benson. We'll see what happens today between the Rangers and Redbirds. Obviously, throw the records out the window there. Heron travels to Massac, though, and I'm always going to be quite curious with any team that has to go into Massac County. I've always been that way.
Well, and there's some history with fireworks and whatnot, run-up things back in the day. Heron never forgets things. And then Frankfort at Murphy's an interesting game. You keep waiting for Murphy and Frank. This is we're waiting for you to turn around game, Frankfort at Murphy. Who's going to come first? And that one. But next week, like you said, Harrisburg-Benton's intriguing. Harrisburg's starting to get their footing. Benton is wobbling right now. I think Benton has to be on upset alert today at Frankfort, even though they have not lost in at least 5 years under Coach Claude-Felder to Frankfort. That this is one of those that Benton is wobbling. Benton has to be on upset alert today.
And the Diamond, Chester at CZR. Fairfield El Dorado is probably going to be the game of the week.
Yeah.
JC is at Alvarado. Hamco at Carmi, and then, of course, Vienna Goreville successfully walked over.
Second game of the week in Black Diamond, because SVWW has got to win 3 of the next 4, and that's going to be pushing with Carmi and Fairfield laying out there waiting on them.
I'm telling you right now, outside the South 7, conference-wise, not a lot very intriguing next week, except for maybe those couple of river-to-river Ohio games. Because you look at the Apollo, it's Chucktown at Mount Zion, Effingham Parish, and Salem Mattoon. I mean,
5 weeks in, I'm waiting for somebody besides Carterville and Chester to show up and say we can go far in the playoffs.
Right.
Because after that, it's a muddled mess, and everybody's going to play each other, knock each other out, or get beat in the first round by non-Southern Illinois teams, or at least none of these 3 conferences. It's going to be a quick out in high school football unless it's Carterville or maybe a Chester or somebody that shocks me.
Game of the week could be in the Metro East. You have Belleville West and Edwardsville. I believe it's at West on a Friday night. Otherwise, I believe it's Alton East, Granite City, and East Side, and then Collinsville, who has O'Fallon, which none of those intrigue me as much as Edwardsville, Belleville West. Edwardsville's been throttling just about everybody in sight. West, I believe, off the top of my head, Belleville West has had a pretty good season thus far under Coach Pettis.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
But they play today against East, so they are still undefeated, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
So that should be a good game. Of course, you have Benton West Frankfort today.
Rangers won 5 in a row.
That's at noon. You can listen to that game on sister stations, Q106.3 and WQRLradio.com, or you could try WFRX 1300 and 1300thefan.com. So you go back and forth. Let's take a look at Withers broadcasting teams, and also that includes Dana Communications. Last night our teams went 4-5. You did have 2 head-to-head matchups with Harrisburg and Massac County, and then you had another head-to-head with Hamco and El Dorado as far as Withers broadcasting teams. So our teams last night go 4-5. If you're wondering who all we broadcast, check it out at WMIXsports.com. We have a little slideshow up there for you. You can see every Withers Broadcasting Dana Communications team, as we like to bring you the best in local high school sports through our entire family. So archives, of course, for our broadcast, always available at WMIXsports.com. We'll get that updated here in just a moment. You can find the full scoreboard from last night on there as well. But at this point of the season, it's getting tougher and tougher to find surprises as we start to learn more about every team. But, South 7 is probably still the only conference where we don't know any more than we did a week ago.
We might know less.
Yeah, with more
Just
questions.
to be really honest, we might know less and have more questions because you got injuries starting to rack up. Carbondale right now, looked better last night. Marion's kind of fighting back. As I said, they're going to be a little tougher to put out because of their experience. But I think we actually know less about the South 7 this week than we did a week ago.
There's no doubt about that. It's the only IHSA conference where every team has the same record of 1-1. There's other conferences where there's 2-0s and O's and 2s, and obviously your conferences that have more than 6 schools are going to have started conference play earlier, and they don't have that. So the South 7 is the only really, in my opinion, unpredictable conference right now in the entire Illinois High School Association, and it's only going to get interesting from week to week. So, because then, if you're the Mount Vernon Rams, you host Carbondale next week, then you go to Cahokia 7, 8 you travel to Centralia before coming back to Mount Carmel. Rams need 2 more wins to get into the postseason, obviously, but the crazy thing about it is the way this conference is working and who knows who's going to win week to week, would not be surprising if the conference champion could be 4-5 overall.
Could be.
Depends on who it is. Carbondale won't be.
No.
4-5, obviously. They're going to be the conference champ, but I'm just saying it is going to be conceivably possible.
Right.
The conference champ will not have an overall winning record.
Could very well be.
Depending on who it is, could happen. And, of course, obviously, you kind of look more towards, like, Cahokia, who came in last night's action 1-3, now 1-4. But it's a tangled web we weave.
All your mainstays that have been good over the last few years are not going to be mainstays in the playoffs this year.
Well, no, they're not. And I think when we get to October 26th and those afternoon games wrap up and we start to see just up north, once we get those finals and see who all is in the playoffs, it's going to be a very interesting conversation come that night as we all look around at the official pairings. So hopefully the Mount Vernon Rams will be in that. Stay tuned for every game of Rams football on WMIX and WMIXsports.com. We have some volleyball this week as well. You can check out our schedule at WMIXsports.com. We're back next week, same time after the 8 o'clock news here on AM 940 and WMIXsports.com. And, of course, we remind you that we are known by the FCC as WMIX Mount Vernon, a free service from Withers Broadcasting. National Broadcasting Corporation News is now.
NBC News Radio, I'm Alex Witt. It's crunch time in Congress as the deadline for a government shutdown looms overhead. The House is open for business this morning as Republicans and Democrats stand their ground and fight over the bill that would keep the doors open at the federal government. NBC's Luke Russert is working this weekend with them on Capitol Hill.
Yesterday on a party line vote, the Senate passed a bill to continue to fund the government. It's a clean bill that did not have any funds to defund the president's health care law. That's not sitting well with House Republicans.
If Congress doesn't pass a short-term funding bill by the end of Monday, it'll trigger the first partial government shutdown in almost 20 years. There was another major multi-decade milestone in Washington this week. For the first time in 34 years, the President of the United States spoke to the leader of Iran. President Obama and President Rouhani talked on the phone for about 15 minutes. The last time that happened was when President Jimmy Carter talked to the Shah of Iran in 1979. This is NBC News Radio. A gun case in Florida which got major attention is going back to court. The story from NBC's Gabe Gutierrez.
This morning, Marissa Alexander has a new chance at freedom. An appeals court ordering a new trial after she was convicted last year of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
She has no prior record. She's led an upstanding life. Everyone concedes that no one was harmed here.
In August of 2010, during a violent argument with her husband at their home in Jacksonville, she went to the garage and got her gun, which she legally owned. Claiming he threatened to kill her, Alexander says she fired a warning shot into the wall to scare him off. But prosecutors argued she was aiming at her husband and missed. The jury took just 12 minutes to convict her. Florida's gun laws require a minimum sentence of 20 years, a punishment even her now ex-husband thinks is too severe.
Her lawyers have asked the court to reconsider her bail. I'm Alex Witt, NBC News Radio.
Hey, this is Guy Fieri. Now, when your recipe calls for red peppers, chili powder, garlic, and onions, you got the start of some awesome chili and maybe some heartburn. If that's the case, roll out the Rolaids Liquid.
Don't let heartburn keep you from enjoying the things you love. New Rolaids Liquid gets you back in the action fast, even when your worst heartburn symptoms flare up. Rolaids Liquid dual-active formula coats and soothes for rapid relief. New Rolaids Liquid in your choice of mint or cherry. Use as directed.
Rolaids? Now that's how you spell relief.
Wherever you are right now, right this moment, you've never been closer to saving a child. Every minute, malaria claims another life. But donating just $1 provides a life-saving test and treatment for one child in Africa. $1 given, one child saved. We have the tools to ensure no child dies from a mosquito bite. $1 at a time, one child at a time. That's the power of one. Save a life now by donating $1 at PO1.org.
Hiya, Fred. Hello, Eddie. Where you been? No, wait, don't tell me. You've been down the auto parts store, right? Not just any parts store. Parts Plus. You ought to know that by now. Yeah, I knew that. Just wanted to hear you say it.